video is dedicated to all of the lazy people out there who could not reread House of Earth and Blood for themselves. Don't worry, boo. I got ya. So today I have a very thorough and very detailed recap of House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J Maas for all of you guys who did not have time to reread or just generally didn't want to reread but need refreshing on the main points. So in this very long double-sided 10-page document, I have everything you need to remember about House of Earth and Blood before you go into House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J Maas. And if this video does not take my entire life to film, I also have a few theories to share with you guys as well. I wasn't going to make a theory video. I am making a video about theories about this book, but not like theories for House of Sky and Breath. That will be coming on Sunday. I'm back. I have reread Crescent City. I have been possessed by the mass trash ghost of my, I was gonna say for myself, like she's always been here, and you have a slew of Crescent City content coming your way. Now I'm not gonna waste everyone's time by going into stuff like a synopsis for this book. I have tons of Crescent City content on my channel. I have tons more coming. I have now made a playlist for all of my Crescent City or Sarah J Maas content, which I will link for you guys, but this is more of just like a helpful video for you guys to refresh yourselves. I have condensed 800 pages into 10 pages. I have included the main plot points and maybe a couple of things that I think might be relevant and might be good to know going into House of Sky and Breath, and then we'll cover a couple of theories. So I'm gonna try not to read from my document, but I don't want to miss anything out. But let's be real, y'all are really here for the cold hard facts, so let us get started. House of Earth and Blood, a thorough and detailed recap. Crescent City is an urban fantasy set in Lunathian, a city filled with many different species of fantastical creature called Vanir, separated into houses depending on their species. The origin of a lot of the Vanir in the world is from a war that happened hundreds of years ago. The ancient Starfae entered the world by using the lunar horn to open a portal at the Northern Rift, which allowed demons to enter with them. The first Starborn Prince, Peleus, faced off against the Star Eater, who was a demon prince, and defeated him using the lunar horn, sealing the rift forever, but allowing cracks through which demons can be summoned occasionally. In the process of doing so, the lunar horn was cracked. When it became clear that the horn couldn't be repaired, it was put on display in the Temple of Luna with the statue of the goddess it was named after. This world is ruled by angels, and humans have little to no rights, resulting in rebellions in other areas of the world. Our protagonist is Bryce Quinlan, who is a half-fae party girl who works at an art dealership specializing in priceless artifacts and is looked down upon because she is half human, even though her father is the king of the Fae, the Autumn King, making her brother Rundanan, who is the head of the Fae Orcs Legion, the Starborn Prince, and the Chosen One, which means that he's descended from Prince Peleus, who defeated the Star Eater with the lunar horn. Bryce's best friend is Danica Fendir, who is a very powerful wolf shifter and the leader of the Pack of Devils, as well as leader of the wolf shifters in the Orcs. The Orcs are like the police of this world, or like the security groups. The Pack of Devils, Danica especially, are responsible for the imprisonment of a dangerous human rebel, Philip Briggs. Philip was caught making bombs and imprisoned by Danica. However, he is being released from prison on a loophole. One night, Bryce goes out with her other two friends, Juniper, who is a faun and a dancer, and Fury, who is an unknown species and a mercenary slash assassin. They go to a club called the White Raven, where they get wasted on a cocktail of alcohol and drugs. Danica does not join them because it is pack night. Connor, who is a member of Danica's pack, has feelings for Bryce, and even though she might feel the same, she has avoided pursuing it further as she doesn't want a relationship with an overbearing territorial male, which is something that she refers to as an alpha hole, and she thinks that Connor is going to be like this because he is a wolf shifter. When Bryce is out with Juniper and Fury, she texts Connor in response to their earlier conversation regarding his feelings for her and agrees to go on a date with him. She then proceeds to get wasted and sends Danica a text saying she had sex with someone in the bathroom of the club and not to tell Connor. Bryce eventually stumbles home to the apartment she shares with Danica, only to find all of the members of the Pack of Devils, including Danica, dismembered and strewn around the apartment. She catches a demon trying to escape and chases it through the streets of Crescent City until she catches up with it in an alley, feasting on an angel. The demon slashes her across the thigh and then makes its escape, and Bryce chooses to stay with the angel to try and save his life instead of pursuing it, using his phone to call authorities for backup. up. The authorities arrive and take her in as a witness for questioning, and Bryce is in shock at this point. Connor's brother Ethan bans Bryce from attending the funerals of all of the pack of devils because he has seen the text that Bryce sent to Danica saying that she had sex with somebody in the bathroom and not to tell Connor. Philip Briggs goes to jail for Danica's murder. 2 years later, we meet Bryce again. She is still working for the powerful sorceress Jessica Roga, but she now lives in an expensive apartment willed to her by Danica. She has a pet chimera called Syrinx that she bought out of slavery from Jessica when Jessica was trying to sell him on. She's now sober and suffering from PTSD, but to the outside world she still looks like the same party girl that she was before. She goes to finalize a business deal with a sleazy vampire called Maximus Tertian, who tries to force her to stay after the business deal is done, but her brother Rune walks into the club, causing Maximus to back off. A few days later, Maximus is found dead, and 2 angels turn up at Bryce's place of work, letting her know that the governor, Archangel Micah, wants to speak to her. Bryce meets with Micah, who informs her that Maximus Tertian has been murdered in the same way that Danica and her pack were, meaning that Philip Briggs did not kill them and the murderer is still loose. Micah tasks Bryce with getting to the bottom of the murders, as he believes the key to finding the murderer is in Danica's movements the week before she died, and Bryce is the only living person who was close enough to her to know exactly what those movements would be. She's also a common thread between the victims. Micah assigns the fallen angel Hunt Athalar to be Bryce's bodyguard and assist her with the investigation. Hunt Athalar was a general under the Archangel Shahar, leading troops in a rebellion to end the hierarchy between the angels and all of the species. The rebellion failed, leaving Shahar, Hunt's lover, dead, and Hunt and the members of his legion branded slaves for eternity and handed over to Sandriel, Shahar's evil twin sister. Hunt despises Sandriel and her general Pollux. Hunt has since been bought by Micah, who uses him for his expertise in demon hunting and as his own personal assassin. He gives Hunt an opportunity that none of his former owners have. If Hunt kills 1 person for every 1 person that his legion killed during the rebellion, Micah will let him go free. However, Hunt's legion killed over 2,000 people, and at the start of the book, Hunt has only killed 82 people under Micah's orders. Micah tells Hunt that if Hunt assists Bryce with solving the murders, Micah will reduce the amount of deaths that Hunt has to pay back down to 10. Hunt's magical powers are in the form of lighting, which is a very rare and dangerous ability. Bryce and Hunt do not get on. Bryce sees him as an overbearing alcohol, and Hunt thinks that she's a vapid party girl, causing them to clash frequently as Hunt is trying to solve the murders as quickly as possible to earn his freedom, and he thinks that Bryce isn't trying to solve them at all. Rune, Bryce's full fae half-brother, has been tasked by their father, the Autumn King, to find the Lunar Horn, which was stolen from the Lunar Temple just before Danica died, on a night when her pack were tasked with guard duties at the temple grounds. His father is a horrible person and resents Rune for taking after his mother with powers of shadow and mist, and has disregarded Bryce as she has very weak magical abilities. The Autumn King wants Rune to try and find the Lunar Horn to help solidify fae power in the city, as he believes that the fae are starting to be seen as weak and the horn is an ancient fae relic. He believes that Rune will have better luck at finding the horn than anyone else, as he is the Starborn descending from the original Starborn prince to whom the horn originally belonged. He also wants to arrange a marriage for Rune to solidify the fae's allegiances, and he suggests a witch named Hypatia, who is about to become the queen of the witches. Rune decides to look into the history of the fae to learn more about the horn, and discovers that the Star Eater, the demon prince who challenged the first Starborn prince, summoned a demon called the Crystallos to fight on his behalf. The illustration he finds of the Crystallos matches Bryce's description of the demon that she saw the night that Danica was killed, so he takes the information to Bryce and Hunt, now believing that the theft of the Lunar Horn and the murder of Danica, her pack, and Maximus Tertian are all connected. Rune, Bryce, and Hunt do not get on. Rune and Bryce got into an argument when they were young that has left their relationship strained, although Rune does continue to try and make amends. Rune and Hunt have also come to blows before. Up until this point, Hunt believed that Bryce may have been the murderer, but after a temple acolyte is killed shortly after their rendezvous with Rune, Hunt realizes it couldn't possibly be Bryce when he sees her reaction at the crime scene. Remember, she's suffering from PTSD. He reveals that the angel that the Crystallos attacked that Bryce stayed behind to save the night that Danica was murdered was the Archangel Micah himself. Bryce catches up with Juniper at the White Raven, joined by Hunt and Rune. Bryce and Hunt get into an argument and she storms off to the dance floor with Juniper, shortly before a bomb detonates. Rune looks into the cause of the explosion and discovers the insignia of the human rebellion on the casing, along with what looks like it may be a crude depiction of the Horn. Bryce and Hunt start to thaw towards each other as they realize their misconceptions of each other. Hunt visits the Oracle, learning that the person seeking the Horn wishes to repair it, something they thought couldn't be done, and then use it to open a portal between worlds at the Northern Rift. He's also warned to stay away from Bryce. Bryce, Hunt and Rune begin to notice that all of the murder victims seem connected to the night that the lunar horn was actually stolen, discovering that Danica and her pack were stationed at the temple that night as opposed to the surrounding area, which was unusual. They also realize that the victims are being killed near the city's ley lines when another temple acolyte is murdered. Bryce asks Declan, who is Rune's friend, to look into the temple footage from the night that the horn was stolen. There was a citywide blackout that night, but Declan reviews the audio and discovers that somebody has doctored the footage, replacing the real audio with audio from another part of the city. He also reveals that the only person with clearance to make that exchange would be the person heading up the investigation on the horn's disappearance, which turns out to be Sabine Fendia, Danica's mother. Bryce and Hunt start to build a case against Sabine. They think they've cracked the case, becoming even more suspicious when they are attacked by the Crystallis demon shortly after visiting Sabine. Hunt is injured and eventually kills it. After seeing Hunt's injuries and another victim of the Crystallis, Bryce realizes that while she definitely saw the demon the night that Danica was murdered, the bodies of the pack look different to the Crystallis' most recent victims. When they return home, Sabine is waiting for them. They accuse her of stealing the horn and murdering Danica. Sabine is outraged and confesses that it was actually Danica who stole the horn, and Sabine doctored the temple footage to protect her. Sabine tells Bryce and Hunt that if they reveal this information or do anything to tarnish Danica's legacy, she will kill them. Reaching a dead end in the investigation, Bryce summons the demon prince Adis to see if he can give them any leads. Hunt learns that Adis has visited Bryce before after her visit to the Oracle at age 13. Adis isn't much help, but he does give them the cryptic clue, look for what is in between. They decide to revisit the basic information of the case, turning to Rune and Declan for advice on what tests they can run on the evidence from Danica's murder. Rune reveals that the Fae have access to an advanced scent diagnostic that the Fae refused to allow the original investigators on the case to use. Rune has been making appointments with a medwitch, consulting her on whether she knows of something that is light but not light, magic but not magic, to repair the lunar horn. The witch suggests a relatively new drug called synth or synthetic magic. It was developed to be used in medicine, but it has been hitting the streets in more concentrated doses and proving to be fatal. When the scent diagnostic comes back on Danica's clothes, it shows traces of synth. Hunt and Bryce consult one of the mayor, Tharian, who claims that Danica was spotted doing a synth deal shortly before she died. On Danica's birthday, Bryce takes chocolate croissants, which is one of Danica's favourite foods, down to the river overlooking the Bone Quarter where Vanir are laid to rest. Bryce opens the box to see that somebody has written trash in icing across the top of them. She knows that the new alpha of the wolves, Amelie, is responsible. Hunt pays Amelie a visit, warning her to stay away from Bryce. Hunt and Bryce continue to grow closer, and Bryce finally agrees to see a medwitch about the injury the Crystallis demon inflicted her on the night that Danica died, after she finds out that the medwitch that Rune has been seeing is trying to use the Crystallis venom to look for a cure for synth. She has the venom extracted, and the medwitch makes progress on the antidote. When they return home, Hunt receives a call from Micah summoning him and Bryce to his office. When they arrive, they find Sabine and Amelie there, demanding that Hunt is punished for threatening Amelie. It is clear that Amelie does not want to pursue the punishment, but Sabine won't let it go. Micah claims that by the old rules, Hunt's punishment should be death, but the living death, where an angel has his wings cut off, will be sufficient. Hunt's wings are cut off and Bryce takes him home. Don't worry, the wings regrow. At work the next day, Bryce makes another attempt at hacking into Danica's old account at Redner Industries, a science corporation where she worked part-time on security. Bryce finally gains access using the password "through love all is possible" and finds a folder with her name on it containing a photo of Danica's old leather jacket that Bryce has been wearing since her death. Bryce investigates the jacket and finds a flash drive in the lining with 3 videos showing the synth trials at Redner Industries. The video depicts humans high on synth gaining super strength and tearing apart Vanir before finally doing the same to themselves. Bryce takes the video to Hunt and they conclude that this is how Danica was killed. Bryce and Hunt decide that they want a future together. In the middle of the night, Bryce sneaks out of the apartment to head to the old one she shared with Danica with the intention of finding more clues. She leaves Hunt asleep to help him recover from his injury. injuries. She heads to her old apartment only to find out that someone has recently set it on fire, assumedly knowing that Bryce and Hunt are on their trail. Bryce gets a message from Tharian, who is the mer guy, letting her know there is a synth deal about to go down at the river. Bryce and Tharian head to investigate, both shocked to find out that it is Hunt, Justinian and Victoria attempting to buy synth from the Viper Queen. The Viper Queen sells the angels out to Micah, who appears with Isaiah and Fury to arrest the angels. Hunt explains that himself, Justinian and Vic had heard about the synth a week ago and had planned to purchase some with the intention of taking it themselves and then using the high to overthrow their masters and end the angelic hierarchies once and for all. But after seeing Danica's videos, Hunt had decided that it was too risky and tried to call it off, but Vic and Justinian were insistent. Hunt also confesses that Danica was a synth addict, and like the humans in the videos, Danica had taken synth the night that she died, tearing apart the pack of devils before finally turning on herself, hence why the only audio of the footage from that night is Danica. The Crystallos demon at the scene was summoned by Danica accidentally, which can occur when people take synth in concentrated doses. Hunt tells Bryce he's known this for a couple of days. Bryce feels betrayed, and Hunt tells her that he only did it because he wants freedom so that he can have a life with her. Bryce tells him to never speak to her again. Bryce starts to make amends with Rune. As punishment for treason, Micah crucifies Justinian in the lobby of the Comitium and extracts Vic's wraith essence from her body and leaves it in a box by Justinian's feet so that she can watch him die slowly. He then drops her at the bottom of a trench to spend eternity going mad in the dark alone. Hunt is kept in the underground holding cells at the Comitium. Sandriel turns up and shows him all of the photos he's taken with Bryce over the last few weeks, leaving them playing on the TV Hunt can see from his cell to remind him of the life that he could have had if he hadn't tried to rebel again. He then finds out that Micah has given him to Sandriel. Fury is about to leave to go on another mission, but she stops to see Bryce and let her know that Hunt has been given to Sandriel. Bryce confronts Fury on ghosting her for 2 years and also finds out that Juniper and Fury are in a relationship. Bryce tries to convince herself that she doesn't care about Hunt and then decides that she can't lose another friend. Bryce races over to the Commission, halting Sandriel and Pollux as they are about to leave for the summit with Hunt in chains. She offers to buy Hunt for 97 million gold marks, throwing in her ancient Arcesian amulet worth 3 million marks to sweeten the deal. When she realizes Sandriel is about to refuse her, she offers herself in his place. Sandriel confesses she looked into Bryce when she arrived in Lunathian and she knows she is the daughter of the Autumn King. She looks like she's about to take the deal when Rune, Declan and Flynn show up. Rune tries to get Bryce to stop, and when it becomes clear that she's made her mind up, he invokes an ancient fae claiming right, stating that Sandriel cannot take Bryce because she belongs to him and their father until she is married. Bryce vows to Hunt that she will never give up on finding a way to free him. As Hunt leaves, he tells Bryce that they owe each other nothing and not to look for him again. Bryce tells Rune that she will never forgive him. Bryce is once again attacked by a Crystallos demon. Rune, Declan and Flynn save her. The summit begins. As the dignitaries arrive, Rune and Hunt realize that the Medwitch that they've been consulting with is the Witch Queen Hypatia. Bryce returns to work using Jessica's library to search for a way to free Hunt. Micah claims he has a meeting and goes to see Bryce at Griffin Antiquities. Bryce texts Jessica, who is at the summit, asking her to pull up the video feeds for Griffin Antiquities on the screens at the summit, and then she pleads for help. As the summit watches Bryce and Micah's conversation unfold, Rune sends an Orcs unit to Griffin Antiquities to aid Bryce. Micah reveals that the library underneath the art dealership is the Great Library of Parthos, a human library that is supposed to have been destroyed thousands of years ago for being filled with supposedly anti-Veneer and Asteri propaganda and 2,000 years of human knowledge from before the rifts were opened. Jesper pleads for the leaders at the summit to mobilize Orcs units to save the books. Sandriel forbids them. Micah demands that Bryce gives him the lunar horn. Micah reveals that after Sandriel destroyed Bryce's Arcesian amulet and was attacked by the Crystallos demon, it became apparent that she was the horn. After Danica stole the horn, she had it ground into powder, mixed with witch ink and inked into the tattoo on Bryce's back. Bryce and Micah begin to fight, and Micah reveals that he is the one who killed Danica and the pack. He also confesses that he was the one who released synth onto the streets and that Danica was trying to get rid of it. He used her to steal the horn and she kept it away from him by having it tattooed onto Bryce. Micah says he wants the horn to open a portal and summon an army to destroy the human rebellion for good. He summoned all of the Crystallos demons to hunt for the horn and planted the seed in the Awesome King's mind to start a search for it. Micah injects Bryce with synth to heal the horn and open a portal. Bryce tries to defend herself, so Micah switches tactics and throws syrinx into the Nox tank. Bryce and Lehaber, who is a fire sprite, use the powers in the library's enchanted books to get the upper hand over Micah and lock him in the bathroom. Bryce dives into the Nox tank to save Syrinx, saving his life but getting injured in the process. Micah uses this time to break free. Leherba offers to buy Bryce time, knowing that none of them will be able to escape otherwise. Bryce tells Leherba that she had bought her freedom days ago and was waiting to throw a party to tell her. Leherba says that she wants it to be known that her first act of freedom is saving her friends. Bryce escapes into the main gallery while Leherba breaks the tank containing the knock, killing them both in the process but knocking Micah back into the bathroom. The Summit, still watching through the screens, stand and pay tribute to Leherba as she makes her sacrifice. Bryce uses the time that Leherba bought her to get to Jessica's office, assembling the Godslayer rifle hung in 4 pieces above the sorceress's desk. She opens Jessica's safe, grabbing the gold bullet for the gun and downing the antidote from Hypatia that she stashed there earlier. She uses the skills learned from her legendary sharpshooter father to shoot Micah in the head as he bursts into the gallery. She then slices him into quarters with Danica's sword, sets him on fire, and hoovers him up. Bryce takes a moment to compose herself, expecting to have to answer for killing Micah. However, when she opens the gallery, she hears screams and chaos coming from the city and realizes that Micah's plan to open a portal must have worked. She runs home with Syrinx, locks him in her apartment, grabs one of Hunt's guns, and heads back into the city to help. Meanwhile, the Summit is in chaos as they watch the vid screens. Demons are pouring into the city from the 7 gates, all now a portal to hell. They discover that Micah sabotaged all of their transport and weaponry before he left. Hypatia unlocks Hunt's manacles and Fury mentions that she has a helicopter that she keeps off site. Bryce runs through Lunathian, yelling at people to get to bomb shelters in safety. She calls Juniper to tell her that she loves her, then makes her way to Asphodel Meadows, which is the human quarter, to try and help the humans. Rune, Hunt and Tharian try to get Orcs units mobilized to help the vulnerable on the streets. However, the leaders have ordered the units to protect their own territories that are already protected by strong enchantments and fitted with shelters. Bryce calls Jessica, asking the Summit for backup in the meadows. They merge her call with the Orcs unit lines as she requests aid. The leaders say they have more units to spare, and then Connor's brother Ethan says he's on his way. Himself and his pack drop the call and ignore Sabine's orders. All of the canine species shifters go with him, and then I put in brackets, I cry. I did cry. I cried quite a bit actually. Bryce, the shifters, and the Viper Queen's bodyguard stall demons in the meadows to give the humans time to find shelter. As the doors to the shelters begin to close around the city, Ethan and Bryce sprint to make it in time. As they approach, Bryce realizes that only one of them can make it in and shoves Ethan ahead of her. Bryce is now thoroughly drained and the sun is setting. Everybody else is either in a shelter or dead. She contemplates trying to get to her apartment but decides to head for the Heart Gate in Old Square instead. When she gets there, she calls Hunt to tell him goodbye and asks him to pass along her goodbyes to her family and friends as well. Bryce approaches the Heart Gate and pulls a light out of her chest, revealing that she is Starborn, like Rune, but much more powerful. She's hidden her powers since she was a child. She went to see her father at age 13 to see how he would react, but when she saw how much being Starborn meant to Rune, she kept it a secret instead. She uses her Starborn light to fill the crystal in the Heart Gate, shooting beams of light across the city and killing demons in its path. As Bryce is the Lunar Horn and Starborn, her powers also close the portal. Bryce is now exhausted, her power spent. At the Summit, Sandriel makes a call to have Bryce eliminated after finding out she is also Starborn. Hypatia removes the tattooed halo containing Hunt's powers and he tears Sandriel's head off. The remaining angels bow to him and he begins mobilizing people to head back to Lunathian to save Bryce and regain control of the city. The remaining angels bow to him and he begins mobilizing people to head back to Lunathian to save Bryce and regain control of the city before the Asteri that Sandriel summoned. Rune, Tharian, Hunt, Flynn, Amelie and Fury get on board Fury's helicopter. The Asteri backup arrives in the form of brimstone missiles, which are essentially big magic bombs that they begin firing on the city. Bryce runs for shelter but gets trapped in debris. Fury's chopper arrives in the city as the Asteri prepare their second round of missiles. Hunt exits the chopper, barreling to Bryce's location. He lands just in time to shield her from the blast, saving her life. After the second bomb, Bryce sees Hunt lying near her with limbs missing and a hole through his chest, dying. She decides that this can't have been for nothing and stumbles towards the still standing Heart Gate. Fury's chopper lands in Moonwood and those on board join the fight against the demons. Bryce calls through the gates of the city, pleading for someone to hear her and touch one of the other gates. Bryce plans to make the drop, which is what happens when a Vanir wants to like activate their immortality, and she plans to use the power of the first light generated from her drop combined with her Lunar Horn ability to close the rest of the portals. Rune hears her but is too far away from the gate and surrounded by demons. Bryce gives up and heads back to Hunt. When Bryce's hope is all but lost, The gem representing the bone quarter lights up on the gate, and she hears Danica say, "Light it up, Bryce," through the gate. Bryce runs to the gate and makes the drop, absorbing every drop of power that has ever been given to the gates by the citizens of Lunathian. Declan monitors the depth of her power as she drops. When she stops, her power level ranks just higher than the Autumn King's. The light generated from Bryce's drop closes all of the portals to hell and heals everything and everyone in its path. However, while Danica gave Bryce the power to make the drop, Danica is dead, meaning that she can't anchor Bryce during her ascent. At the bottom of the drop, Bryce meets Danica and tells her she's not going back. Danica tells her not to be stupid. Bryce needs to live without her. Danica gives Bryce the power she needs to jumpstart her ascent, and Bryce starts to make her way to the land of the living, where Hunt, healed, is anchoring her and keeping her heart beating. Bryce lives and is reunited with Hunt. Bryce and Hunt head home knowing that there will be repercussions for them killing the Archangels and Bryce's new status as somebody not only extremely powerful, but also starborn and the Lunar Horn. Bryce gets a call from one of the Asteri who thanks Bryce for saving the city. They give her the gift of Hunt's freedom, telling her that they hope she lives a long and happy life. They also warn her that knowledge of her true power and status getting out would be drastic for all involved, essentially a veiled threat. Hunt starts to help gain control of the Comitium and organize the Angels. Bryce takes a walk to the Bone Quarter, finally, after 2 years, replying to Connor's last text to her, "Let me know when you get home safe," with "I'm home safe." She then deletes all of the messages from him, the pack, and Danica, finally letting them all go. The mist of the Bone Quarter part, showing her a glimpse of the pack, minus Danica, who gave up her resting place to kickstart Bryce's jump. Connor raises a hand in farewell. Bryce heads home to Hunt. Jessica and Ada sit on a bench. Jessica asks Adis why he didn't tell her that Bryce was starborn. He says he didn't trust her and comments that Bryce's light is the exact same colour as Queen Thea's. He says he thinks that Hunt's father would be proud of him, but claims Jessica would know more about that than he would. He then inquires about the safety of the books from the Great Library of Parthos. Jessica assures him that they're safe. And thus concludes the extremely detailed and thorough recap of House of Earth and Blood. Now we move on to theories. Okay, so I only have a couple of like main theories, and then I have a couple of loose threads that were introduced in House of Earth and Blood that I think are definitely going to play a part in what is to come, but I don't know how. Like, I know that they're going to be relevant, but I haven't pieced together how exactly that is. It could be that they just kind of come in at random points, or it's like a here comes cavalry, save the day kind of moment, and they may not even come to fruition in House of Sky and Breath. It might be the third book in the series instead. But my main theory, which I think is pretty solid at this point, is that everything comes down to the first war that happened when the Starborn Fae came through the rift. I'm actually quite unclear on how this world actually started at this point, because at one point throughout House of Earth and Blood, Ada says that the angels were made by the Asteri in the world that they're in, so they all came from that world. We also know that the Fae came through portals. Like, everybody that isn't an angel, isn't Asteri, did not come from the world that Crescent City is in, which is something that I'm going to get into in detail in my video on Sunday. So if you want to see me turn into this guy, please do stay tuned for that. So we have the Asteri who were apparently here first, but then according to the Great Library of Parthos and Jessica, there is 2,000 years worth of human knowledge that supposedly existed before the Asteri. Now, the reason that this is conflicting is because I can fully believe that the government have tried to cover up that the angels weren't there first, but Adis himself said that the angels were made in this world and that this world belongs to the Asteri. So I can fully believe that the government are lying, but I'm not too sure about Adis. But when Rune is investigating all of this stuff, he's in the Fae archives looking for information on the Horn. He finds out that there wasn't actually just one Starborn prince, there were many Starborn people, and Peleus was actually a general to Queen Thea. It doesn't really say much about Thea at all up until we get to the end, where Ada says that Bryce has the same hue and feel of light that Thea had, and it's very different to the light that Peleus had. When Rune is doing his research, he finds out that Thea also had a daughter called Helena, but she also had a younger daughter who is unnamed. Now, if we remember, it wasn't covered in my recap, but if you've reread the book recently, you may remember that to activate the Horn, the Star Eater needed the blood of a Starborn. Now, my theory is that this unnamed younger daughter was actually in league with the Star Eater and was the one who helped him activate the Horn. So Bryce is definitely descended from Thea, but I'm not sure whether the role that she plays in this is as the reincarnation of Thea or as the reincarnation of Thea's unnamed daughter. I definitely think that it's one of them. It does say that the unnamed daughter had the same power as Thea, so I'm going to assume that she would also have the same like hue of light that Adis mentioned, even though Adis ties it back to Thea and not the daughter. My other theory regarding all of that Starborn Fae stuff is that Peleus was not the hero that everyone believed him to be, because at the end, when Adis compares that light to the light of Queen Thea, he says, I thought they made sure her and her power died on that last battlefield under Prince Peleus's blade. But why would Prince Peleus be eliminating Queen Thea when he was her general? There's definitely something going on there. Hello, Editing Becca here, ready to lay theories upon theories. Upon editing this footage, I just realized that Peleus could still be a good guy, and what Adis meant when he said that he thought Thea and her power was eliminated on the battlefield under Peleus's blade. He could mean that Peleus killed the daughter that was alive with the Star Eater, which would still make Peleus a good guy because he got rid of the Star Eater, but if the daughter was the last person with Thea's power, it would get rid of Thea's power. It doesn't necessarily mean that Peleus killed Thea or was on the side of bad. I feel like this daughter that's unnamed and not really spoken about is the key to all of this. And I think that maybe one of the reasons why they want the Great Library of Pathos eradicated is because it actually explains the truth about all of this, and what everyone believes now is lies that have been made up by the people in power. My other maybe kind of option, this one might be a reach, I have things that disprove it, but there is a possibility that Jessica could be Thea's unnamed daughter. Now the reasons why I can argue against this is Jessica isn't Fae. She's supposed to be a witch that defected and became a sorceress in league with the Underking, which means that she shouldn't really be the Starborn because she's not Fae unless she's like half-blooded. But we do know for sure that Jessica is ancient. I mean, we know that she's old, we don't know that she was definitely around at that time, but considering her connection to the Great Library of Pathos and the books, I think it's pretty safe to assume that she was there at the time that all this went down. Now, while we're talking about government propaganda and lies in the history and all of that stuff, one of the little side tangents I have that I know is definitely going to play a part in this series, but I don't know the extent of it, is Rune's prophecy from the Oracle that he hasn't told anybody, which is that the royal bloodline will end with him. I don't actually think anything bad is going to happen to Rune or Bryce. I feel like this is in here to be like a threat of like, well, they're all gonna die because the bloodline has to end. I think that it's the royalty that's going to end. They're going to get rid of all of the hierarchies. The royal line is going to be defunct because there will be no royalty, and that is what that prophecy means. Another big part of this that I think is definitely going to come into play is Hunt's father. Now to us it is a mystery. Hunt has these lightning powers and he has no idea where they come from. He searched to the ends of the earth to try and find the origin of these powers, to try and learn how to master them and gain control of them, but he can't find anybody who has the same powers as him. But Adis and Jessica know Hunt's father. My first theory was going to be that Hunt's father was one of the princes of the pit, because there are like 7 realms of hell, or 7 circles of hell, I guess. And Adis is the prince of like the 3rd from the deepest. So the bottom level is called the pit, and I kind of thought that Hunt's father may be a demon prince. He may be the prince of the pit, and this was kind of supported by the fact, I don't know if this is just a general demon thing or Adis specifically, but when Bryce summons him, his magic is very cold, and I don't know whether that's just because he's a demon or whether it's him specifically. But if it is him specifically, he has a type of elemental magic, which means that the other demon princes may also have elemental magic, and one of those princes may have lightning powers, especially because we know the angel side of Hunt's family comes from his mother, so his father could be anything. But the thing that I have to refute that idea is right at the end, when Adis says that Hunt's father would be proud of him, he says to Jessica, you knew him better than I did. And while Jessica is considered to be slightly on the dark side now, she's like this all-powerful sorceress working under the Underking, we can assume that she's actually a good person, seeing as she saved the books from the Great Library of Pathos. So Hunt's father could be some kind of like legendary warrior or something. He could play a part in this history that's possibly been erased, but Jessica has defected from the witches. We don't know how old Hunt's father is. Because they both know him, I'm kind of assuming that he's ancient and he was around many thousands of years ago. But Hunt is only like 230 something, so it could be that Jessica knows him or had known him more recently in the last like half a century, where she's working for the Underking. No possibilities for Hunt's father. Princes of Hell, possibly the Underking is my other thought. The only thing that refutes it being the Underking is that Ada says you knew him better than I did, and the Underking is still around and Jessica still knows him as far as we're aware. And then also, just like as a side note, Jessica works for the Underking. Who is the Underking? I feel like that is definitely something that's going to play into this, especially because based on the structure of the book titles, the title of the third book is probably either going to be House of Many Waters or House of Flame and Shadow, but I'm thinking it's going to be House of Flame and Shadow. We also have the character of Fury, who is a huge mystery. Nobody knows what she is. She's an assassin or mercenary. She works in Pangaea with the rebellions and the wars going on over there, assumedly on the bad side, like the side of the Angels. But she is a huge mystery. Now I have some theories about Fury that's going to tie into the video that's coming on Sunday, but while there's a lot in this book that gave me some theories about Fury, one thing that really stuck out to me, it could be written off as being just like a throwaway thing that's not important, but it just feels important to me. When Hypatia removes Hunt's tattooed halo and releases his powers and he tears Sandriel's head off, Fury is there and he marks Fury's expression at seeing him rip Sandriel's head off, and it says as if she'd forgotten what he could do. Now Hunt has been a slave and his power has been contained for 200 years. He was like 32, 33 when the rebellion went down, and he was tattooed with his slave tattoo, the halo and everything. So my question is, how could Fury remember what he could do if she herself is not ancient, or at least old enough to have been part of the human rebellion or there at that time? Now she could be ancient because we don't know anything about her, but she went to college at the same time that Bryce and Danica did, which was like 10 years ago, and why would you suddenly go to college at the age of like 200 and something, unless the reason she was there was because she was on a mission, because the Oracle has already given Bryce some strange prophecies, like it told Hunt to stay away from her. So there are people who know that she's important. It's also possible that she's in league with someone like Ada, who told Fury to keep an eye on her, but I feel like it's something that's maybe worth keeping in mind. And something else about Fury that stood out to me in my reread of House of Earth and Blood is that she is supposed to be just like part of the army. I mean, yeah, she's highly skilled, she's a mercenary slash assassin, but nobody really knows what she does. They just know that she's deadly. They don't know what species she is, but she somehow has the authority to give the Viper Queen orders, and the Viper Queen obeys her, and she threatens Micah and there's no repercussions for it. She says to Micah that if he comes near Bryce again, she will come for him, and nobody says shit about it. So these are all throwaway things. Maybe could mean nothing, maybe could mean a whole ton. And like I said, I have some more theories about Fury that will be in that video on Sunday. I just have two more things that I think are going to come into play at some point. We've kind of left them open within this book, and they've actually just come to me as I was reading through my notes. So I'm actually really good that I have this recap note for me to refer back to when I'm reading House of Sky and Breath and I need to like dig for clues that I've not necessarily tabbed. But the first is that when Rune discovers the bomb in the White Raven and he notes that it has the Human Rebellion insignia on it and a crude shape of the horn on it, he later kind of disregards that and he's like, well, we have no proof it has anything to do with the horn, it's just, you know, Human Rebellion stuff. But when they first notice the horn symbol, they do think that, oh well, maybe it could just be the letter C. Now the letter C is what is stamped over slave tattoos when they're freed, so that's just something that came into mind as possibly being relevant, that the two letters are similar. Or it could be related to the horn. There could be some like secret cult of lunar horn worshippers. I mean, Rune has family in Avalon, which is like a Fey Isle. They may come into play. Or it could be something to do with freed slaves or slaves of the government, the society that are joining with the Human Rebellion. The other thing that is going to come up at some point is that Vic, the Wraith, was put in a box at Justinian's feet to watch him die, and then they threw her in a ravine to go mad in the dark alone. I have a theory that she's gonna come back at some point, that somebody's gonna go and get her to aid them. They might need backup, go get Vic, but I don't think that that's the last that we've seen of her. And then just on things that we know about Sarah J Maas and her books in general, and a theory that I've heard, or like something confirmed from Sarah J Maas, I don't think Hunt and Bryce are gonna break up. I think that Hunt is gonna be the love interest for the remainder of this series. They went through a lot in the first book, so I can't see them separating. I don't think Ada is gonna be the love interest. I mean, I could be completely wrong, and I think that the threesome that Sarah J Maas has confirmed may be between Rune, Hypatia, and a third person who I can't remember. I did have an idea of who it might be, but I think it's going to be on the Rowan side of things, not the Hunt and Bryce side of things. And then if anything does happen with Hunt and Bryce, I think it's more going to follow along the lines of like a second book breakup, as opposed to what she's known for, which is switching the love interest on us. I don't think I could cope, because I'm too attached to Hunt after everything they've been through in this series, that even though she's a master manipulator of emotions, I don't think I could get behind another love interest for Bryce in this series. Not after everything they've been through. I don't care if their parents are evil. I want them together forever. So there you have it. A detailed, thorough recap of House of Earth and Blood and a few little theories from me. I got the House of Earth and Blood bug again. I got the Crescent City hype just brewing inside me. Please do check out my Crescent City playlist if you want. I mean, after you've watched this, I can't imagine you wanting a non-spoiler review. But I have a guide to all of Sarah J Maas's books. I have a non-spoiler review, a spoilery vlog. I've added this video to it. We have a video coming on Sunday. There will also be a spoilery reaction vlog on House of Sky and Breath coming, as well as possibly a follow-up to the video that I make on Sunday, depending on how House of Sky and Breath plays out. But yeah, if you guys are looking for Crescent City content, this is the place to be. Please don't forget to subscribe. But aside from that, guys, down in my comments, please, first of all, let me know if this recap was helpful. If it is, I will probably continue to do the rest of the series, although it will be upon reread, not on my first read of the books, because I can pick up on more when I'm rereading, as opposed to just like speeding through it with anxiety. And maybe I'll do some others, but also let me know if you agree with my theories, or maybe if you have some theories of your own. But aside from that, guys, please don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you wanna. If you head into my description box, you'll find a link to my Goodreads, Instagram, Twitter if you'd like to follow me on any of those, as well as a link to my Bookish Candle website, the Instagram for that, and a 10% off discount code. That's it from me today, guys. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you'll go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.